Goodbye, world!
So, yeah, that happened. In our culture, it's almost a running joke in the general pop culture aura of blank the musical, and Broadway has kind of earned that. There have been very few musicals over the past 20 or 30 years that haven't been based off a book or a movie, or at least based on a true story. And while some of the musicals that get made of these things might be good, even the idea of having Shrek the musical, or King Kong the musical, or Bloody Bloody Andrew Jackson the musical is inherently weird, and people tend to have a hard time looking past that no matter what the quality is. Well, back in the 60s, a musical adaptation of Superman called It's a Bird, It's a Plane, It's Superman opened on Broadway, and in 1975 it was adapted as a TV movie. So, does it live up to that running gag? Let's find out. This musical first debuted on Broadway in 1966. While reviews were alright, it ended up closing after just a few months with just shy of 130 official performances. The show was the most expensive Broadway production of all time when it premiered, costing about $600,000, which is about $4.8 million today. Considering how quickly it closed, it was also the biggest Broadway flop in history at the time. A superhero musical that was the most expensive Broadway production of its time, but closed as the biggest Broadway flop of all time. That sounds familiar for some reason, but I can't put my finger on it. Over the next year, the show had two smaller productions, one in St. Louis and one in Kansas City, but that was the end of it. The show wouldn't have another big production until the 90s, and since then, they've mostly been novelty acts. The only long-lasting aspect of the show was the number You've Got Possibilities, which became popular in cabarets. But in 1975, ABC produced a TV movie adaptation. Why? Well, I'd assume that since Wonder Woman and Super Friends were going well for them, they wanted some more superhero stuff. But the Salkinds already had the movie rights for Superman, so they couldn't have them for themselves. But they could get the rights to adapt the musical, and so they did. But that is just speculation on my end. There are a few differences between this and Broadway, though. The script was vastly rewritten, likely to better match the format of a movie. A few songs were removed, one new song was added, and the score as a whole was updated to a more 70s disco vibe. I've read some IMDb reviews, and this update is treated as a negative thing, but to keep this review isolated to the movie, I haven't listened to the original Broadway cast album, and just listening to the movie, it sounds pretty alright. Most of the songs aren't amazing, and the show should have a fairly high standard, given that the score is by Charles Strouse, who also scored classics like Annie and Bye Bye Birdie, but it's alright. I admit the famous song You've Got Possibilities wasn't as great as I hoped, but that could be the adaptation. On the other hand, the brand new song, It's a Great Country, is easily my favorite. It's very funny and tongue-in-cheek and foretelling?
Let me make one thing perfectly clear. There's somebody we gotta take out. Somebody's giving crime a very bad name.
Marlon Brando?
No, you!
Now let's talk about the rest of it. People mock this for being cheesy, but that's kind of the point. Remember, this was made during the Adam West era. It's supposed to be tongue-in-cheek, and it does this very well.
Yeah, I know.
The actors do it well, though sometimes it's a bit much, which could be the direction. The acting is pretty good. David Wilson, who plays Superman, does a really good job separating the two. He seems to lean more into Superman being the disguise of Clark Kent rather than the other way around like the later Christopher Reeve version. He also does a great Clark Kent. Christopher Reeve's version made Clark an awkward goody-goody, but Wilson goes more for a loser that can't do anything right.
Gee, Lois, you look nifty today.
Oh, Clark, have you been there all along?
Yeah, for 4 hours.
Given that just about every interpretation since Reeve has mimicked him, Wilson's version has sort of become retroactively refreshing. Finally, let's talk about the writing. Clearly, the writers knew and cared a lot about Superman, and clearly took inspiration primarily from the Fleischer cartoons and the Kirk Alyn serials, which was about all that was there at the time. There are references littered throughout. The villain, Dr. Sedgwick's costume, is ripped straight from the first Fleischer cartoon. There are two characters named Jerry and Joe in reference to Superman's creators, and it's handled really well.
Yeah, those are pretty keen shirts. Where'd you get them?
Joe here did it. Oh, come on, Jerry. Tell him. I'm an artist, Superman, and all I want to do is draw pictures of you.
Yeah, and I'm an author, Superman, and all I want to do is write stories about you.
Thanks, kids.
Wow, all right. I am Superman. Hey, Jerry, Joe, what can I say? Without you, there wouldn't be a Superman.
Plus, to separate from commercial breaks, they label the show in chapters like a film serial, though they do use one joke over and over.
Stop that death ray before it turns the city into a graveyard.
Will Superman make it in time? Stay tuned for Chapter 3. Superman makes it.
Mind you, it's a funny joke, but after one or two times using it, it gets pretty old.
What is the one terrible thing that Dr. Sedgwick will have before he dies? Stay tuned for Chapter 4, Sedgwick's Revenge. Will Clark Kent find happiness with a new love? Stay tuned for Chapter 6, Clark Kent finds happiness. Will Superman fall into this dastardly trap? Stay tuned for Chapter 8, Superman Trapped. Is this finally the end of Superman? Stay tuned for the 11th and final chapter, Superman Triumphant.
But my point is that clearly care was put into this. The book writers, David Newman and Robert Benton, later contributed to the Donner scripts. The only complaint I have is that Superman should be in it more. Dr. Sedgwick gets top billing and more screen time than Superman. This is because he was played by famous actor Jack Cassidy on Broadway, and they enlarged his role to give him top billing. Nonetheless, I don't see why they couldn't rewrite it. But the point is, this movie is a lot better than people give it credit for, and you should check it out. Also, whoever can should get on releasing this on DVD. Alright, I hope you liked the review. Subscribe for more. Bye.